And may I now introduce to you Mr. Ashish Karnakaran, Vice President and Industry Leader, BFSI Tata Communications. He's a leader beyond par and comes with an experience of over 22 years as a CTO, CIO, head of IT in some of the biggest industry names. And he really has such rich experience when it comes to domain expertise, customer connect across segments. And I'd like to welcome you here, Ashish. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Isha. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And Ashish, now that you're a part of this very interesting conversation, I actually have a question that I'd like to ask the two of you. And let me begin by asking you, Ashish. You've been working with a number of BFSI organizations. How is it that you see technology and overall ICT landscape evolving in the last couple of years? And what do you think are some of the key emerging trends that you have witnessed?
Okay, so I don't want to answer it specifically for the last 2 years. I would put it at maybe 2 decades as well, because I was working in the last two decades in the FS industry. So if you look at the early 2000, where I started my career in the tech space, the tech was more of like your supporting function. And okay, even though many part of the financial institution have a huge dependency on technology, but never been the case as a differentiator over there. And maybe like when you have your board presentation or maybe something with respect to your risk management committee or operational risk or any kind of board level or anything with respect to top management level, the tech should come maybe 1%, 2% of the focus area. Okay, it's a sideline. But if you look at now, maybe like Mikhil could actually see that. So it's a tech-driven industry as he's driving. And it is the same case where if you look at any of the large financial institution in India or abroad, if you look at their investor presentation or maybe a board presentation, it's almost like 50% is tech. How I am differentiating compared to my competition in terms of tech. And maybe if you look at maybe the way customer is also kind of going and availing the services, how my service provider is differentiating in terms of the tech is actually like coming as that particular differentiator over here. So accordingly, what we are seeing is that the massive transition where the tech can make it, and now it's kind of it's a core function asset. And I could see that tech guy is becoming the managing director of the company, and happy to see all that thing. So it's getting an easy reflection on that particular thing. Yeah, that's it, Isha. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ashish, for, like you said, not just talking about the last 2 years, but the last couple of decades there. Mikhil, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I think, I would break it down into this, two things, right? I think, the way I look at technology is, especially inside, lending company, right? I would break it down into just, 2 points, right? I think point number 1 would be on the side of efficiency, right? I think a lot of stuff which was before, manually done is and can already be automated, right? I think so it's going to drive crazy amount of efficiency, and all of that is going to translate into, significantly better ROEs or return on equities for, lending companies which adopt, technology in the right way, right? So I think that's, the first point. And I think I would say the second point to me is all about risk, right? Because we're in the lending business. I think the biggest problem can happen is that, when a risk is solely being underwritten by a human being, right? I think what you really need is foolproof systems, which, have multiple checks inside it to prevent, any kind of, bad loans or, any kind of wrong activity from kind of going through, right? And the way to make the system bulletproof is just to make sure that everything is basically done at this point in time by machines, right? Because, the reality is machines don't make mistakes, human beings make mistakes. I think what a lot of focus needs to go into is to make sure that machines are programmed to do the right thing, right? So if I look at these two things, as pivotal factors, one is efficiency to kind of drive ROEs, and secondly, most importantly, to drive, drive risk down, essentially, right? These are the 2 big ways in which I think, the game is going to be completely changed if you adopt technology the right way.
Thank you so very much for sharing your thoughts on this. And it has been such a pleasure to have both of you join in.